What's up, weirdos? Happy Tuesday. What's going on, everybody? I'm here with, of course, Tobias. Oh! Okay, he's not interested in being on camera today, though he is very playful today. We played fetch for a while. Um, Sorry, I just love this dog. He's just a tiny monster. Okay, what's going on? All right, so let's see who's in the chat. Oh, you guys are so impressive. Okay, we have Ange Wish. We have Andreas Mark. Uh, oh, you told me to go. We're going by Stacy now, right? Did I read that somewhere? I think I did. Mark. Horror Miser. Shush! Do not bark. We're talking to people. We're busy. Okay. All right. We have Sky Angel Film Buff Dan Breaker. Did I already say Larry? Nope. Larry. Boop, 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 J. Donovan, Brandon. Hey! Okay, so we're all here. As we wait for everyone to arrive, I do want to start this off as I keep meaning to. What did people watch this week? What are you watching now? Like, oh, you better quit that. You better quit that right now. You better quit it. Okay? You should see the eyes he's giving me right now. They are so sad, but also vicious. What did you watch this week? Something I started watching last night, finally. I don't think Ben's here yet, but I think Ben was talking about on Instagram, but The Outsider, the new Stephen King, or it's been on for a while now, but on HBO. My parents have HBO. What a blessing. So I used their HBO Go account and I watched the first episode of The Outsider last night and it was really good. I feel very excited about it. I also needed a new show to watch. I've been sort of like rewatching Gossip Girl for like the fourth time and I'm just sort of like, why am I doing this? And Travis and we watch Schitt's Creek together. That's like our hangout watch together show. And so I needed something that when I'm just like here by myself, like what am I gonna watch? What am I into right now? And it is Outsider. I think this show has won me over. I feel really excited about it. So in the chat, oh hello Michael, what's up? So in the chat, let's see. And Wish saw A Quiet Place last night. Was that a first time watch for you? Curious. I really liked that movie a lot. I thought it was really great. I'm excited for the sequel coming very soon in like 2 weeks, I'm pretty sure. Let's see. Film Buff watched Swallow. Yeah, guys, I just reviewed Swallow on my channel, and that is one of my favorite movies I've seen in a long time. I felt so deeply moved by it. I loved it. Let's see, Sky Angel, The Invisible Man. Yes, exciting. I also loved that one. It's interesting. There are some like similarities between The Invisible Man and Swallow. They're definitely very different movies. Invisible Man is much more of a horror film, and Swallow is much more of like a psychological thriller. But they have like some similar things going on to say. Hello, Tom. Let's see. Stacy watched The Witcher. Okay, I've still never seen that. I don't know anything about the video game. I tried to watch one episode of it with my family over like the Christmas holiday, and my mom was like, no nudity, blah, blah, blah. So we ended up turning it off. And I haven't gone back to it yet. Let's see. Dreadlord, what's going on? How you doing? Ollie, hey. Okay. So hi Brandon, you just started watching October Faction. I keep thinking about checking that show out, but I haven't heard anyone like rave about it, so I don't know if it's like worth it or not. Brandon, tell me, what do you think? I would like to know. And Horror Miser, you watching it too? Let me know. Boop, boop, boop. Let's see. Oh, Michael Cox watched Susan the Witch. Excellent movie. Very cool. Let's do. Okay. Film Buff says Swallow not a horror film. I would agree. I would say it has horror elements in it for sure. But I would say it's definitely a thriller. But yeah, okay, cool. Feel free to keep telling me in the chat. But we are gonna go ahead and get into today's movie, which I'm very excited about. So far, I hope you guys have been enjoying Cronenberg month so far, because I certainly have. The Brood, like I said at the beginning of this, I really have not seen a lot of his films. And so I feel very excited to, explore. The Brood was also one that I have never seen before. And this one was, like, I'm starting to see, just from what I'd seen previously, then looking at Videodrome last week and this week, like, I'm starting to really see the trends in his movies. Also, something I'm starting to notice in his films as I do some research is that a lot of the movies come out of things from his daily life that, like, are fearful to him or stressful to him, and then he sort of takes those ideas and puts them into a horror movie. Apparently this one, The Brood, is Toby. Okay, Toby is chewing on my favorite stuffed animal, and he knows that is a no-no. No. This is Toby's toy. This is what he's supposed to be playing with. If you could just chew that. If you could do that. Okay. Okay. So apparently Cronenberg, so he was married twice. His first wife, apparently they did have one daughter, and apparently they had a very messy divorce and custody battle and things like that. I don't know exactly the extent of it, but from one thing I listened to, but I couldn't really validate this on the internet. But one thing I listened to said that he had to go pick up his daughter in sort of the, like, serious fashion that is done in the movie. So I'm not sure what that's all about exactly, because obviously I don't know him personally, so I don't know his personal business. But apparently the movie was very much inspired by real stressors in his life, which is interesting. Okay. So, where did my screen go? Here you are. Oh my gosh. Okay, first of all, Tom got to see The Hunt this weekend. Sick. Oh no, I gotta go see The Hunt. Okay, sorry. I thought you were saying that you saw, like, an advanced screening or something. Yes, I'm going on Friday with Lauren. We are very excited. So I'll probably have a review up of it on Saturday morning, I'm assuming. But I'm really excited about it. Because, of course, the infamous It getting pulled by Universal, right? I think that's right. Back in September, like, that was such a crazy, insane thing, and now it's finally going to be in theaters, and I'm very excited. Ben, hey Ben, said I'm gonna dodge the coronavirus at the theater. Yeah, this coronavirus thing, like, obviously, like, everyone's probably tired of talking about it, so I'm not gonna fully go into it. But even at my work, they're asking, like, if we can work from home, like, if we're able to do that, all these things, and I'm just like, hell yeah, I would love to work from home. I love to be at my house. I hate to leave my house. But so we'll have to see about that. But I do think there is a lot of, like, mass panic going on that is not really helping. I think from what I can understand, not as severe as the flu, but it is very contagious. So everybody, obviously, be careful and wash your hands a lot, but try not to panic too much. Okay. Also in the chat, sorry, Jay Donovan watched a lot of things. Dogs Don't Wear Pants, which I loved. Invisible Man, Sonic. Haven't seen Sonic yet. Oh, haven't seen Portrait of a Lady on Fire yet, but I really want to. That is playing at one of the theaters near me. I'm pretty sure it's playing at the Angelica Film Center in New York. So I need to go see that for sure. VFW, excellent movie. Yeah, you guys have been very busy. I'm very impressed. Okay. So let's go ahead and start going through some plot here. So I guess the thing want to start with is, so the opening scene where we see these like two guys on stage doing some sort of like strange therapy exercise in front of a large group of people. I thought that was so funny because I don't know if you guys know this about me, but for college I went to acting school. I was an acting major. And watching that sequence, I was like, that is just like, looks like an acting exercise to me. And then when they like pulled back and you saw it was like in a theater, I was like, wait, what? Is this like a theater thing? And it took me a minute to realize that it's actually like a therapy technique. So that is interesting. Um, and I guess so the main crux of this psychotherapy technique. So it's from this Dr. Hal Raglan, and he's played by Oliver Reed. And I guess the basis of it is that you let go of whatever mental issues you're having. You let that go through physiological changes to their bodies, which is just a little bit vague. And then we get to see like what that means by the end of the movie. But he calls it psychoplasmics, I guess. Yeah, psychoplasmics. Okay. So that is the doctor. That's sort of like what's sort of going on. And then his main patient, or the patient that we're dealing with, is Nola Carveth, who is played by Samantha Eggar. By the way, if anyone is interested, there is like a 30-minute BBC documentary on YouTube about The Brood. I think if you just type in The Brood documentary, it'll come up. It's about half an hour. But they did like a pretty extensive interview with Samantha Eggar on there, and she is really funny to listen to. So I highly recommend watching that. I'll tell you a little bit more about what she said about like the end body horror stuff she has to like have on her body and stuff, which was just funny to hear her talk about, because she's like just like very sweet and British, and like and also because she's British, she sounds like kind of like posh and like lovely, and she's like blah blah blah, they put all these like condoms on me and blah blah blah, and then all this like blood came out, and it's just very funny to listen to. Yeah, and so Sky Angel did say in here, as a therapist, this is not how you do it. Agreed for sure. Okay. So, okay, so Nola's the patient. I'm not even exactly clear, what her disturbances are, as they say. Like, I don't exactly know what her mental issues are in the movie. And maybe they talk about it, but I don't remember. If anyone remembers, you can put in the chat. But she's having some sort of issues. Through this therapy, it's like an isolated therapy she's going through with him, but she does get visitation rights with her daughter, her 5-year-old daughter named Candace, who is this like tiny like little blonde girl, who looks a lot like the girl from Poltergeist, just like the haircut, I guess. And her husband, and who sort of ends up being sort of the main character, is Frank. And Frank has, I guess, most of the custody of the daughter, and then he like drops her off to come see Nola, but he's not having any contact with Nola, which is kind of important. So one day after he picks her up, he brings her home, he's giving her a bath, and he realizes that she has all these cuts and bruises on her back, which is very sad. And we're immediately like, he immediately assumes something obviously bad happened to her while she was with her mother, because she was fine when she left and she came back with all these bruises and stuff. And so he's like, something's wrong. So he tries to like stop the visitation rights. He's very upset. And so we have these sort of therapy sessions. Things are basically revealed through these therapy sessions with Nola. And so I don't think and also I only watched this once, so feel free to correct me in the chat if I'm wrong about things, but I don't think that Nola was actually abusing Candace, but Nola does reveal that she was abused by her mother, who was like an alcoholic. And so that comes out. And some of these therapy sessions, like what is revealed in them, becomes important because the, and I hope I'm saying all this right, the psychoplasmic whatever is creating this body horror situation I'll describe later through the anger that Nola feels. So Nola's anger is like sort of being transferred into these like growths on her body, which of course will, it's not really a spoiler at this point, become the Brood. So that's wild. So I think the first like death we have in this movie is Frank leaves Candace with her grandmother, and they're at her house, and we have this very strange sequence where they're like looking at photographs, seemingly nice little activity. And we start seeing like milk jugs fall as though there is like some sort of intruder in the house or something. And and the grandmother does not acknowledge it, which I find very funny. She's just sort of like, she doesn't go to check it out. Like, we hear things falling and she's just like, everything's fine. This is a picture. This is a picture. So that was kind of weird. But eventually we see this sort of small figure that looks like a child, and I think you can tell pretty quickly that they are somehow like deformed or something, but you don't really get a clear image during this first section. But throughout this, we're also getting back with the therapy session with Nola revealing that the grandmother was abusive to her, and so the Brood, or the evil child, comes in and murders the grandmother. And the grandmother's name was Juliana, who was played by Nuala Fitzgerald, which is a very regal name. Sorry, I just came in the chat and you guys are talking about a whole lot of things over here. But if you're talking about Texas Chainsaw, I support that. I think that's great. Dreadlord said the ectoplasmic worms. Yes, yeah, that's what the growths ultimately are. Okay, so that's sort of the first death, and I'm pretty sure she's like bludgeoned with a hammer or something like that. And I think almost all the deaths, the tiny mutant Brood children find a hammer and attack, which is also kind of funny that they just always have a hammer, but it's fine. And Candace, the daughter, she is definitely like messed up by this. She goes to bed. I don't know. She's clearly traumatized by it. She knows that the like what has happened, but I don't think she quite understands who the creature was or what it has to do with her. I think at this point she's not really sure what's going on. And Frank, who's like trying to get information out of her, can't really get anything out of her. Like, she won't talk about it. And the policeman, I remember at this point, is also telling Frank that like she probably saw it, and just is too traumatized to talk about it. So that's a bummer. Okay. So, the next person to die, and I'm really just talking through sequences of deaths right now, but I think that's fine. I think we'll get the point of the movie across through that. But the next one we have is Candace's teacher. Her name was Ruth Mayer. Let me just see the actress, played by Susan Hogan. And at this point, we're not super sure. There's not anything going on necessarily between the teacher and Frank. But it's hinted that there might be something that could go on between the teacher and Frank, I think. And so Nola, who's still in therapy, gets very upset about this. And we see, then we see the mutant children come to the school and murder Ruth. And at this point, through the therapy, we start to realize it's coming from Nola, because when they ask her about it, Nola's like, oh, I'm not worried about Ruth. not worried about it. And it's very strange because earlier we heard Ruth on a phone call with Nola, and Nola is like screaming at her and calling her names and like being like, you're ruining my family, blah blah blah. And then after Ruth is dead, Nola's like, oh, I have no worries about Ruth, no worries about Ruth at all. And it's like, okay, that's because she's dead. How do you know that? And so it's clear at that point that whatever these mutant children are coming from, are the orders are somehow coming through Nola. So that's a spooky, creepy. Okay. And the next death we have is Barton, who is the grandmother's ex-husband. This character is like not that exciting, I guess. But he dies. How does he die? I can't even remember. Let's see. Yeah, I can't remember how Barton dies, but I think it's just another similar killing. But this time they have the dwarf child, okay, and it's, I guess, dead, and so they do this autopsy on the mutant child thing. I don't know what to call it. I think mutant child is like pretty good. We'll just go with mutant child for now. So they do this autopsy trying to figure out like what is this thing and why is it killing everyone. And they notice a couple of things that are strange. First of all, they don't have teeth. Okay, so something you might not know about me. I really am very creeped out by anyone that is not a baby, like personifying a baby. I don't know if this makes sense. Like, for example, there was that movie that was like a cartoon with babies that had like adult voices. Like, for some reason, that really freaks me out. It like creeps me out to no end. Or like I hate like when ravers would use like light up passies. Like, that creeps me out. Like, everything, like anything with baby stuff that like an adult is like taking on, I just feel it just creeps me out, and I don't really know why. I don't know where it came from or why it's weird to me. So the idea of these like small kid-sized children not have any teeth like a baby makes me extremely uncomfortable. Also, hello to Michael, who is from Arizona. What's up? Glad you're here. Okay, so, Horrormizer said, I saw The Brood a couple months for a podcast I did about Cronenberg. If you have a link for that, go ahead and post it or send it to me or whatever. I would love to listen to it. Okay. So, they also realized that the mutant child is asexual, doesn't have any sex organs, I guess, and also doesn't have a navel or a belly button, which indicates that there was not a human birth, so they don't know how it was born. It's sort of like that same thing with like, isn't it like a Superman thing that he doesn't have a belly button or something because he wasn't like born, he was like created somehow. I don't know the lore of Superman, but I remember that being a thing on like Smallville, that he didn't have a belly button. I don't even remember, but kind of like that. And yes, so that's what they know at this point. And also at this point, like, the press gets involved. All these murders have like hit the newspapers, and the doctor, Dr. Hal Raglan, sees this and says, wow, this all really coincides with the therapy sessions I've been having with Nola. Not good. Worrisome, perhaps. And, okay, so I think this is the point where Frank is, so Frank's obviously trying to protect his daughter, and, save her from these creatures that are clearly killing everyone. And so he goes to confront Nola, and I'm not even exactly sure like how that part happened, like what choice he made to go there. Honestly, I don't remember. Sorry. um, but he basically finds out from Raglan when he gets there that the mutant children are the accidental product of Nola's sessions because she has so much rage about her abuse and everything she goes through or has gone through, and it's so strong that she has somehow bore a brood of children without, becoming pregnant necessarily. And the children physically respond to any rage that she has. So if she has rage about a person, those children go and attack and kill that person. Yeah, okay. And so, and somehow during this, the brood get Candace, okay? And they're trying to rescue Candace, okay. So the doctor goes and tries to rescue Candace while Frank is trying to keep Nola calm because if she gets upset, they assume that the children are going to kill Candace or kill whoever's closest or come and kill him. Unclear. And this is the moment we finally get to our body horror section. And so Nola starts to reveal physically that she has all of these, what did you call them? Dreadlord said it earlier, something worms. I just forgot what you had said. Psychoplasmic worms? Is that it? Is that the word? I can't remember. And why are we talking about Taylor Swift? I love that. I love the idea that Taylor Swift is an alien. Hello, Darling Darkness, by the way. I love that idea. I don't know where it came from, but I'm interested in it, and I support that. Also, I didn't watch the Americana documentary. If anyone watched it, is it worth watching? I'm not really a fan of Taylor Swift. That's not really my style of music necessarily, but I don't know. I like a documentary if it's worth it. I don't know. I'm interested. So Frank, okay, sorry. Nola reveals this giant body horror moment on herself. So she has, and this is where I'm talking about in the documentary, this BBC documentary you can find on YouTube, where she talks about it, but they're all these condoms filled with, she said, God knows what, that were being attached to her body. And she said at some point she was laughing so hard because she thought this whole thing was ridiculous, that they were you have to stop laughing because the glue cannot stick to you because you're hysterically laughing as they're trying to glue all these condoms to her and everything. And it is a very disturbing scene. And in the moment where, and they're all sort of different sizes because each rage pocket birth or whatever is a different, however many months old because of whatever it originated. And so she has one that is, ready to pop, if you will. And it opens up and it is truly disgusting. Just so icky looking. So icky looking. But it was actually the actress. This is something I found fascinating. So I think one of the grossest moments is when Nola starts to lick the baby clean of blood. So when a baby is born, they're covered with a lot of shit, and the nurses clean them up or whatever. And Samantha Eggar, the actress, she apparently grew up on a farm, and she said when animals give birth, they lick the child or the calf or kitten or whatever. They lick them clean. And so it was her idea to be what if I lick the baby clean? And they were great idea. And so she did. And it is gross. And she said everyone that was filming that day, watching on the monitor or whatever, was just gagging because it was so horrifying. And it's amazing. So someone just said, Sky Angel up in here said, old school practical effects. Yes, that is what is so impressive to me about this particular film, and I'll say all the Cronenberg so far I'm really been impressed by, but something about this one was so much more disgusting to me than the like Videodrome stomach. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because it's like a gooier baby birth pocket. I don't know. It's just gross. Um, but it is amazing that like all of this was just done through practical effects, and they just made all that stuff and made it look that good and realistic. And how um even how Samantha Eggar like sort of puppeteers the baby like after it like comes out of the pocket, like making it look alive. Like all of it is just like very realistic and very impressive, because you have to like think for a second and be like, right, this is like 1979, and it's very, very impressive. Okay, so at this point, the brood, they kill. So the brood wake up. Okay, they kill Raglan, and Nola threatens to kill Candace, and then Frank strangles Nola to death. Yikes. And at this point the brood die because their mother has died. So I guess in this world, when the mother dies, like that, what the connection dies, they all die. And Frank saves Candace, and they depart. And in this last moment, which I think is also a thing of Cronenberg, of having this sort of like non-happy ending thing, this sort of like haunting endings to his movies that I think are really interesting and not really of the time. But maybe they were. Maybe I don't know enough about the late 70s, early 80s films. But there's no like, it feels like it's gonna be a wrap the bow or like tie the bow up ending. And then we see there were these sort of like little droplet bubble things on Candace's arm. And we can sort of assume that that means she either is going to be like Nola and have these growths, because she just experienced like a traumatic thing, and then these like things are growing on her. That's what I sort of assume is sort of going on. If anyone has any other theories about that last moment, please put it in the chat. I would love to know. But yeah, and that's the end of the movie, and that's how it ends. So, yeah, I guess here we are. What did you guys think of this movie? Obviously, we really like the practical effects. Does anyone have a particular practical effect or kill that was their favorite? That could be anything from the Nola body horror stuff we just talked about. It could be the mutant children's makeup. It could be a particular kill that you really like. Just kind of put like, what's the most memorable part of this movie to you in the chat. And so something that's interesting about this movie to me, or sort of the couple of themes going on around motherhood, and this idea that so one thing I like is that the idea of like the power of motherhood, and how maybe like influential and how important that is, and the power that comes with that. There is some people about that, which I've read a little bit online, that this movie is like sort of misogynistic. It has a bad representation of pregnant women. I think particularly because Nola gets strangled at the end and killed. So I think that might have something to do with it. Also, this sort of victim blaming thing, where you have a victim of abuse that has all this anger, and this is what it turns into, and then that victim is then murdered, versus somehow, rehabilitated or whatever. I don't know. I don't think this movie was ever intentionally misogynistic. Cronenberg did say, because as we said at the beginning of this, he did talk about the fact that this is inspired by his divorce and custody battle, and he did say in one interview that watching Nola be strangled didn't feel bad because he was going through such a difficult time with his wife. And so when I hear that, I'm like, probably should have said that. um, but it's still like it's still an interesting movie to cover motherhood in this way. So I'm glad the movie exists. I think it's cool. But it does have those sort of things that are like, I don't know. Is this offensive? I don't know. Is it misogynistic? I don't know. And I think for the time it was made, I don't think any of that would have been necessarily like intentional woman hating or anything like that. But I do think it's an interesting look at like also like the bad mother or the evil mother. Laura and I did a podcast episode a long time ago about mothers in horror films, and how they can either sort of be the protector or the abuser. I remember we talked about movies like Black Swan or things like that. I really wish we had seen, because neither of us had seen this movie at the time, and this movie comes up on a lot of lists about like motherhood and horror movies. It's on all those lists, and it was one that we hadn't seen, and I wish we had now, because this is sort of definitely a very different take, where it's not necessarily the woman being the mother being the hero, or the mother being the evil. It's sort of the mother being this like, what's the word? It's like the anger that she feels is like being passed through her to others. It's just a very different look at motherhood in a horror film, which I think is interesting. So, I don't know. Let me pop in the chat, see what's going on over here. Okay, so some of your favorite moments. Michael says the Gooyer baby birth pocket. That's a great way to put it. Great way to put it. Ange Wish said hive mind, which I'm assuming is sort of an interpretation of like the end, and like the connection between mother to everyone. Absolutely, I think that's a very good word to sum that up together. Let's see. Horror Miser loved all the kills. Mark says, I love the snarl Nola had when she was licking the baby clean. And then Ollie said, like it's been said already, I just really like the looks of the character effects, like the dwarf child as an example. It's all really cool. Yeah, and I also really like the dwarf children, mutant children, because they, particularly because they have these clothes on, they typically have hoods on, and if you didn't see their face, they would just look like normal kids. And the fact that their faces are so off-putting, because it's sort of like that, I've talked about this before when I talk about like scary dolls or things like that, but it's called like Uncanny Valley. When you're looking at something that has two eyes, a nose, a mouth, it registers in your brain as a human, as a person, and then when you look at it longer, you realize there's something wrong with it, and it's not quite that. Like there's like a doll where it's like, okay, I'm seeing a human face and my brain registers that, but when I'm looking at it, it's also not real, so it's dead, or it's not, there's no actual person in there. And so it's this really weird feeling of like, it's the uncanny, where it's like, I recognize it, but it's not what I recognize. The thing I am looking at is not what I think I'm looking at. And that, I think, is the effect that is achieved very well with these scary children, where it's like, when you see them, you're like, oh, scary child, or you're like, oh, child. And then you see their face and you're just like, whoa, what's wrong with them? And then they also start to like show it a bit more throughout the movie. The first time you really don't get that good of a look at the kid. I even thought the first death, we were maybe supposed to think that like Candace was killing, and I thought, like, once again, I had never seen The Brood, and I thought that's not that I thought it was gonna be like the bad seed or something like that, but I did think Candace was gonna somehow become a murdering child along with the rest of the mutant children. Like, I thought that was gonna come in somehow, but it never did, so I don't know. Oh, Mark said the dwarf kids remind me of the little monsters from Phantasm. Yeah, I can see that for sure. Um, and then Sky Angel said, I didn't understand why that guy had that thing on his neck. Ooh, I'm not sure what you're talking about. The thing on his neck. Do you mean at the very beginning of the movie? I'm trying to remember. Why can I not remember? A guy with do you remember which character? Just let me know in the chat if you know. Yeah, so that is why they are so creepy. Okay. Great. All right, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to mention about this. I'm just kind of scrolling through to make sure. Oh, one thing we already talked about it last week, but I will just bring it up again. So Cronenberg is is a Canadian filmmaker, and in the late 70s, Canada started putting more money into filmmaking because they wanted movies to be coming out of Canada that took place in Canada, were from Canadian filmmakers. They wanted more like, Canadian. It's like you don't think about sometimes how I mean, other people from other countries probably do, but here in America, it's like you don't think about the fact that everything you watch is from the States almost, and how that is like what you watch is like a sense of your identity. And so in Canada, they were like, everything that we're watching is from the US. And so it's like, what is our like sense of identity? And so Canada started putting a lot of money into making films by Canadian filmmakers set in Canada. And Cronenberg was a big part of that. But I'm pretty sure The Brood was not included in that. Like, I think they did get money from the government, but not the same distribution or something. There was something in that documentary they said about it where they had to like maybe find like different distribution for this. But I can't remember what it was. On the IMDb, it does say Canadian Film Development Corp as a, company credit producer or whatever. So maybe it was, but I don't know. Not really sure. It was filmed in Toronto. Let's see. Budget was $1.4 million. Yeah. I wonder how it did at the box office. Box office, $5 million. So it made money. That's good. It'd be a bummer if it didn't. And from what I can tell, it sort of did get mixed reviews initially, and became like a cult film later, which I'm assuming is most of Cronenberg's work. Besides like The Fly, I think most of his work was pretty controversial, and then was like sort of later loved and studied from a more academic look at it, because it is very like interesting stuff going on. But yeah. All right. I think that is about it. So as a reminder, for the rest of the month, what are we even watching next week? Let me see. Next week we are watching, it's Scanners, right? Yes. Next week we're watching Scanners, and then The Fly, and then Dead Ringers. So I'm very excited about all that. I think that's probably it, guys. I feel like this was like kind of a shorter one, and I'm not really sure why. But I had fun talking about it. So go The Brood. I'm glad I've seen it now. I'm really excited to watch Scanners, because that's another one I haven't seen. I've seen The Fly, obviously, but I'm pretty stoked. Ben said in the chat that it did bad in America, but everywhere else it made money. I can see that. I can see that. All right. Thank you all so much for joining me. And well, Toby's gone now, but me for Horror Movie Club. I really appreciate it. I don't think I have any announcements, so I guess I'm just gonna sign off. But I hope you all have a wonderful night wash your hands, and I will see you in my next video or next week. But thank you all so much. Bye!